Our Week 11 upset forecast for this upcoming Saturday slate. I say it every single week. We got to make sure we say it again. These are not predictions. These are not projections. This is more so like if you were to look at your weather app on your iPhone and try to get a gauge for the weather for the upcoming weekend. We're trying to get a gauge for the potential upsets for this upcoming weekend. So the one that jumps out to me right off the bat, Georgia Tech is a 14-point dog going to Clemson. And this is the perfect amount of look-ahead spot mixed with letdown spot for Clemson. Looking ahead in North Carolina, letting down from Notre Dame, and then you got Georgia Tech rolling in there, man. They are freaking gritty. They beat Miami. I don't care. Miami didn't take a knee. You still had to find a way to go the length of the field more or less if you're Miami to get a touchdown to win that game. Then they beat North Carolina, who's scoring all kinds of points offensively, like with Haynes King playing quarterback. You get some good, you get some bad, but when he's on, he is on. And so if Haynes King is on and Clemson is still kind of sleepwalking from their big win over Notre Dame, you just wonder which way this thing could swing. So keep an eye on that one. Colorado, Coach Prime and company, man. It's kind of been a tale of two seasons for them, really, since they started out 3-0, and then you had that letdown game against Stanford where they came all the way back on you on a weekday, and then when it comes to this game against Arizona, Colorado is a 10.5-point dog at home. Arizona is a top 25 football team. This is Colorado's last home game. Colorado has 3 games left, and I don't think you want to lose another one and then have to go 2-0 after losing 4 in a row, if that ends up being the case if you drop this game against Arizona. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is you're going to get Coach Prime's best effort. You're going to get this team's best effort, I would imagine. Arizona, to be real, they're not great versus the pass defensively. Colorado, we all understand, even with Sean Lewis not calling the plays there right now at Colorado, that's still the way that they get down offensively with Shedeur Sanders running the show, pretty much out of necessity because of what they don't have up front. But when you look at what Arizona does offensively, their go-to guy, their ace of spades offensively is a wide receiver out of Southern California from Servite High School, Tetaroa McMillan. Big body, jump ball specialist. I mean, putting up ridiculous numbers this year, well over 700 yards already. He is the go-to guy for Arizona. Arizona is a pass-first football team by nature of their pass-to-run ratio, how they're calling their plays. Travis Hunter, you wonder if maybe he's the answer to Tetaroa McMillan, and maybe Colorado's able to kind of get some momentum going. Again, last home game, so you got the home crowd behind you, got some juice. Maybe they kind of have their last stand here and get ever so closer to bowl eligibility. So that's one I'm watching. If Colorado's going to show up and draw a line in the sand, I think this is the one that you have to do it if you're the Buffs. So keep an eye on that one. Now, this one we previewed already during the week, but I want to make sure we touch on it here in this upset segment. Miami goes to Florida State. And Miami's a 13.5-point dog, and Miami could very easily be 7-2. I understand we just talked about the whole thing with Georgia Tech and taking a knee, and like that's another conversation for another time. But to be real, they are a better football team than 6-3 by nature of what they have on that roster, by nature of how well they've played in some of these games. Also, defensive line play. They're allowing less than 100 yards a game on the ground. And I understand that on paper, Florida State should win this football game. We picked Florida State to win this football game. But when you look at the path here for Miami to winning this game, you get a lot of quarterback variance to this point in the year from Tyler Van Dyke. I would be wildly surprised if he wasn't the guy playing for them this upcoming Saturday. But if Tyler Van Dyke is able to kind of shake off the last couple of weeks and sort of the way that he hasn't been on his game, especially last week against NC State where he threw 3 interceptions, we've seen him play at a really high level early in the year. The Texas A&M game is probably the snapshot that lives in your mind when you think about Tyler Van Dyke dealing the pill at a high level. If he's able to kind of, again, turn it around, shake off this slump that he's been in, and if Florida State isn't healthy and they don't have the same ability to match points, we've seen this Florida State offense now not operate at the same efficiency without Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson in the lineup. Now, at the time of us being live, I believe they feel like they're in a good spot to get one, if not both, those guys back. We'll see what happens on game day. I'm just saying, if Miami finds rhythm, buckle up. Buckle up. We already picked Florida State, but I think with that being a rivalry game, we say it a lot on here, any rivalry game that we find ourselves in, you kind of just got to delete logic from the profile when you're breaking down the game. So we think Florida State wins, but when it comes to the upset potential, I think Miami's got a real good shot to make it interesting. There's definitely a path to make it interesting, to say the very least. Now, staying in the vein of things getting interesting, You got Florida going to Baton Rouge. Florida playing LSU, 13.5-point dog on the road. Listen, in this game, we all understand weird things happen. Like, weird things happen when Florida plays LSU. And where Florida struggles offensively, LSU struggles defensively. LSU's giving up 30 points a game. Florida's scoring right in the range of 26 points a game. So I think with the way that Graham Mertz has shown he's a more than capable quarterback, and Eugene Wilson showing he is a more than dynamic weapon, if they're able to score points, and if they're put LSU in a position where they have to answer scores, and again, talking about health, we're live right now, so we don't have any gauge for if Jaden Daniels will or won't be available. I hope he plays, but if he doesn't play and this LSU offense takes a second to get going and Florida's scoring, heck, if Florida's running the football how they want to run the football, something to watch for. Something to watch for. Would not be the first time that Florida and LSU gave us a game that didn't make any sense at all. So keep an eye on that one. I think that'll be an interesting one as well. So again, Florida, LSU, Miami at Florida State, Colorado and Arizona, Georgia Tech at Clemson. It's going to be a good slate for potential upsets this weekend. If nothing else, I think these games could be interesting. Keep an eye on those. That's your forecast now for Week 11 of the college football season. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.